All right, so we're going to get into our patch and repair. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. The fortification formula is honestly one of my favorites. It's an easy application, 1-to-1 mixing ratio, but you don't use a mechanical mixer. Either use a hand mix or swish it back and forth between 2 cups or quarts. Quick return to service. The fast sets up in about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you can grind. The slow sets up in about 15 to 30. And it also works down to -5 degrees, which is really nice. And honestly, it's honestly the best crack repair I've seen.
Yeah, what's nice about this is, unlike an epoxy, you're not limited by temperature. Okay, with epoxies, if the temperature reaches 40 degrees or colder, it doesn't work. It doesn't cure. It has to be above that. So we recommend that you generally stay at 50 degrees and above with our 100% solid epoxies and waterborne epoxies. This product can be used in freezing temperatures all the way down, like Matt said, -5.
Yeah, and you still have to crack chase or use a tuck pointing blade to crack it, go straight through. Pour the fortification formula in, then broadcast sand, and like I said, after it's dry, you hit it with a grinder till it's smooth.
And you can make a slurry or a somewhat wet mortar out of it by mixing sand into it to do some patches. What's nice is it goes from that black color to a light gray. As soon as it goes to light gray, you can grind it. And you're going to see it's very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next product we're going to demo back there is our Polyflex 93.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is the Polyflex 93. It comes in a dual cartridge with a long needle nose at the end. You'd use it for control joints or flexible moving cracks. So basically, you put in some backer rod and whatever your crack is, hit it with the caulk gun, and then let it set up for a little bit, and then you just shave it with a floor scraper, and then you're ready to go with a coating over the top. Yeah, it sets up in about 25 minutes. It's used for seamless floors. The customer wants no control joints or anything showing. They just want it flat and smooth. That's where you'd use it. So
yeah, temperature ranges from 0 to 120. Okay, so again, it's not an epoxy; it's a polyurea. It's semi-flexible and it's load-bearing. This version is coatable, meaning, just like Matt said, you can create a seamless floor out of it. Doesn't mean they're not going to see where the lines were. It's just because depending on the temperature, it can actually bulge or drop down, depends on the concrete expanding or contracting. So you're going to see where that's at, but your coating is going to completely cover it, and the coating flexes with this here. We also have this in the 22-ounce cartridges, as Matt said, but we also have it in 10-gallon kits.
yes.
In 10-gallon kits, you have to use a pump, and the pump has a static mixer. That's the mixer that we're going to put on the end, the wand. It has that in the end, and that's where it mixes before it's injected into your joints. But for the most part, the type of jobs you guys would be doing, it'd be the 22-ounce cartridges. But if you ever have, say, a large warehouse floor or a large lobby, and you're going to be doing a large application, you got a lot of lines that they got to get rid of, though that's a point where you may think about picking up a rig, which is a pump and the cart that holds all together. And that's where you put your 5-gallon buckets of A and B on the cart, and it just injects it. Okay, but it's an expensive rig. You only get that when you really need that. Okay, next product we're going to use. Actually, this one here talks about how you do the preparations. Matt was saying you go through. I like to use a tuck pointing blade because it'll clean both sides of that saw cut. So if the cut is a 1/4 inch, get yourself 1/4 inch tuck pointing blade. You clean that all out, get all the contamination out of it, and it cleans both sides. You put that backer rod in, which you're going to see it's over there. We're going to put the backer rod in it, and you're going to keep that at a minimum of 1/4 inch below, up to about 3/8 of an inch. That's the average. Okay, and then you're going to overfill it, as you see on that one picture. Then on the right-hand side, you're going to then shave the excess off, and then I like taking the floor machine over the top to take all the residue that might be on the top off.
So yeah, this is the concrete patch and repair. This is a really simple application, so you have deep pits, balls, stuff like that. You just add water, mix, and pour. It is fiber reinforced. You could also feather it. We're going to be showing you on that table as well. It's actually really nice how we're able to work with it because it firms up pretty fast. About 30 minutes you could walk on it, so quick return to service. And you could also broom it as well if you need to.
Yep.
So.
Its maximum thickness at one time is 4 inches. Doesn't mean you can't do it more. You just have to do it in stages. Okay. From there, it can be driven on in 2 hours, and it is freeze thaw resistant. So you could put this outside, and it's not going to crumble over the going through the freeze thaws. Okay. Yes.
So the the concrete piping in the thickness, right?
I'm sorry?
The thickness.
Yeah, it's anywhere from, it says feather. It says a feather edge. I don't like to put anything down to a feather edge. I always key things in. So I always like to put in at least about a 1/4 inch thickness, but it could go up to 4 inches at one time. Yeah, yep. And you're going to see us apply it over there. And that's just simulating replacing a broken corner off a step or a missing piece of concrete. We have faster systems. I like using this for some application, but if I'm doing a garage floor, I'm going to go right back to the fortification for most cases.
It's also important to know you're also adding water to this material, so you can't coat over it right away, depending on your application.
Yeah,
I mean,
it'd be about, if it's a 1/4 inch or less, 1 hour. If you start getting thicker down to those 4 inches, I would do this repair days in advance so that it has time for all that water to evaporate. Because these coatings don't like water.
But we do have a mortar material that doesn't involve water, and as soon as it's hard, you can go over it with a coating. You'll see later on in the slide.
Yeah, that's our TurboCrete.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go over there. We're going to work with these products. I also have the Fast Patch, which I'll talk about over there, and then we'll talk about our TurboCrete as well. Okay, so we are going to start off with that pourable concrete compound. And I'm going to use a Hansen plunge mixer. Okay. I'm going to measure this out, and we're going to use it in this spot here. Comes in a 10-pound bucket, but you could also buy it in a 50-pound bucket, okay? I don't think they stock the 50 pounds, but something that they definitely can order for you. The way we like to package a lot of our products is easy to use. So we give you the bucket and the material, but for something like this, I'm not going to use a whole kit. So I'm not going to mix it in this pail. I'll mix it into a small 2.5 quart.
And then after that, you can just store it and use it next job.
Correct. Yep, because it's a dry powder.
Right.
I've got a second one here because that first one's not going to be enough.
Okay.
And if you look at it, it actually there's fine fiber. Sometimes you can see them, but there's a fine fiber in here. You'll see it once it gets wet, it stands out. And it blends in pretty well with concrete, but if you ever are gonna do, say, fix someone's driveway, fix someone's sidewalk, because a chunk broke off, they have to understand it's not gonna match. Even if you cut out the section of concrete and got the concrete from the same ready-mix company and poured it right next to it, the day later, a week later, a year later, it doesn't match. We all see that. That's because concrete cures differently and affects the color, okay? So with this, I'm gonna measure out 3 of these.
Like stuff like this, no rebar needed.
No, nope, no rebar needed. I'm just gonna measure out 3 cups. This is mixed at a ratio of 3 to 5 parts of the dry powder to 1 part water. So meaning 3 of these or 5 of these to 1 cup of water, that's the ratio. The more you add of this, the thicker it's going to be, the less it's going to be more like a self-leveler. Okay?
O sea, 5 por 1.
3 hasta 5 por 1. Todo depende como si lo quieres muy líquido, como un líquido o más pesado. Okay, so I've got 4 in here. I'm going to stick with that. So never add water to a dry mix in a container. Add it separately. So I'm going to use that same empty bucket. I'm going to pour the water in here. And using my plunge mixer, I'm just going to start adding my powder. And you'll mix this until it's a nice, consistent mix without any lumps. Don't wait too long. And when you're using the water, it's got to be clean, potable, drinkable water, cold. Don't use warm water, because if you use warm water with a cement product, it takes off like that, okay? All right, there's no lumps. Now I'm just going to take this. You'll see it's very fluid, liquidy material. I'm going to pour it into the section which is broken out. All right, so I just overfill this, and I'm going to leave it like this. Now this area is running down a little bit, so that's why I'm just going to push it back every so often, just to make sure it stays above. Now I formed this out with cardboard. You're not going to use cardboard. You'd use quarter-inch masonite or plywood. You don't want the coating or cement to stick to the form, okay? So I like to use packaging tape, clear packaging tape over the surface. Yes, the regular curved boxes works really well because it'll just pop up right off the surface. And I would Tapcon it, screw it into position to make that form. If you were trying to do this, could this work? Sure, it's working here, but I think bigger, the weight is probably going to cause that to move, and you don't want that. So I would use that. Now the surface, I didn't talk about it before I did it, but here I am now. I would use a wire brush, okay, or something to get in there to clean that concrete and remove all loose particles from the face and the bottom portion, okay? If this is broken off on an angle, could you just put a form and put it under? Yes. But is it the best way? No. The best way to actually fix when you have a piece of concrete that's broken off on an angle like this is to saw cut it, and chip it out so it winds up being a block, or like you pulled out a chunk, square portion. Because whenever things are placed in and it's sitting in like a brick, it's a permanent repair. If there's pressure on it, you don't have it on an angle, which is putting pressure this way. It's straight down, it holds properly. Okay, I'm old school. I was taught by guys who were taught by their fathers for doing all these type of repairs. And I always, when I'm doing a patch, will grind down the edge so that's a little bit below, so it locks in the floor. Even if I'm fixing a spall in a concrete garage for someone, I take my grinder and I bring it down a little lower so that my edges don't feather, they're locked in. Okay? All right, so we're going to let this sit for a little bit. As it's getting thicker, it's going to go pretty quickly. So the next thing I'm going to work with is now going to be our Polyflex 93. Now the Polyflex 93, we're going to use our dual cartridge gun.
You have to order those. So if you know you need that before the job.
Actually, you guys stock them, right?
We do stock
Yeah,
them. Oh, you
they
do?
stock them.
Okay.
Okay.
You
This
can't
comes
get it at a Home Depot.
right. No, you can't. And you don't want to go certain places that they're going to overcharge you. Every time you buy something here, it's as reasonable price as possible because it's all. Our philosophy has been all the same since me and Ed first started the company as contractors and distributors decades ago. We have it as far as for convenience. That's not where, that's not our big money making or their big money making thing. It's more of, we know you need it. We're going to have it. If we can get it, if they know, Matt and Ed, that if you need it, they're going to have it here for you if they can get it at a good price. Okay. That philosophy has been here since the very beginning. Okay. So with it, we're going to take the 22-ounce cartridge. This one's a used one. There's very little left. Hopefully it's enough for the whole thing. And we're going to shake this first, because there's A and B in here, and they've been sitting up, so I'm just going to mix them up. Okay, then I'm going to take the cap off. Yeah, since we actually touched on that, we originally started this, Ed and I, back in 1997?
Yeah.
In 1997. It's been so long I forgot. And we started off as contractors, and shortly after being contractors, we were approached by one of the manufacturers that we were using to be their distributor representatives for the Midwest. We did that for many years, and then in 2011, okay, I was actually approached by the manufacturer to be their technical rep. So I left as far as Ed continued with the business here, distribution. I went to go work for the manufacturer and start going into training and technical support, and also some R&D. And then from there, was there for 11 years, and then came to Rust-Oleum 3 years ago. Matt's been now working with his dad for, well, actually, since he was a kid,
Yeah.
he was here. But then officially full-time.
As of basically late
Couple-
January of last year.
Yeah, so as far as going into a second year, but he's lived this. He grew up with this.
Yeah.
So it's not anything new to him.
Yeah, started out pulling stuff off the shelves.
Yep. I remember swinging you around in the warehouse as far as spinning on chairs and yeah. Okay.
Falling off a few times too.
So I'm plunging this through. got a long way to go because these cartridges are all the way up high. If this is brand new, the first couple of pumps out of here, I will actually dispense. Here it comes. And I'm going to go until I see the colors uniform and there's no, okay, so now it's good. So there was a little bit of uneven resin, okay? So I'm going to make sure it's completely blended together now. Now I'm going to put the static mixing wand into the joint and start overfilling it as I'm pulling it back. Now this product does not change color. It stays this color. And to make sure that it's slightly overfilled, I will add a little bit more on top, but not going crazy, because then it's a waste of material. Okay, so this is how you would use this to fill a control joint. I'll talk about joints later on, but we're going to let this set up, and then we're going to shave it with a razor scraper. Now, when I go to take this off, this is no good. The rest of it's still good. I'm going to keep the angle down because I don't want it to come back into the cartridge. That's garbage. Now I'll clean this off. Make sure that you don't have any of the dark gray side into the clear side. And I'll put the plunger back on, make sure it's the same color, it's the same color. Okay. And now this is good. This is still good for the next job. I have had guys try to use the same static mixer, really quick to change it. You might get away with it once in a while, but it's not. And then now you just wasted all that time to trying to switch it over. You can get multiple wands, static mixer wands as you buy more, but one comes with every cartridge. But when you use and still have some left over, that's when you're going to need a new wand, a static mixing wand. They're not all made the same, okay? So don't just find something from something else. It might not mix it properly enough, okay? And do not try to use every drop out of that, because those first few pumps, get rid of them. Every once in a while, I have a customer contact me and say, yeah, we use the Polyflex 93, and about every 15 feet, I have a wet spot. It never set up. Well, I know exactly what they did. They put the one on there and start using it right away, and that wasn't properly mixed each time they started a new container, okay? So don't do that. Get rid of that first 2-3 pumps. Sometimes it's an extra one, but sometimes it's right on the second one's clear. Throw the third one out just to be safe. You don't want to have to scoop all that material out and clean it out with xylene and get all that cleaned out and then wait for it and then put more material and scrape it. It just takes a lot more time, okay? All right. So now we're going to let this one set up. Now the next product we're going to talk about is the fortification, okay? This is Matt's favorite.
It is my favorite.
My too. This here, it's designed specifically for one-day garage floors. It's very fast. Does this mean it's the only thing you can use for fixing your cracks and patching? No. But if you're trying to do something in one day, this is your lifesaver, okay? It's a polyurea. Okay, and with this material, it's going to set up very quickly. This is starting to thicken. I'm just going to push it a little bit more since it's pitched.
Even what?
Probably
10 minutes?
Not even. And it's not also its maximum thickness. This is at a 4-to-1 ratio. I could have made it thicker. So if this was pitched, for sure, I would have. On the job, I would have mixed it 5-to-1. So it wouldn't be as runny. But if you're trying to self-level an area that's low and you want to make sure mix it 3-to-1, it'll actually fill in and flatten perfectly. Okay. All right, so now with this product, it comes in a gallon kit. I've got a half gallon of B and a half gallon of A. Okay. When you go to use these, make sure every single time you clean the threads off on the bottle and on the cap, or you may not get the cap off. It's a moisture cure product.
Didn't clean it.
Actually, we did, but not that well, I guess.
I didn't eat through the bottom of that.
All right.
Doesn't
Yeah,
look like it
see if we get it. Oh, he got it. I loosened it up for him.
Exactly.
I think the same thing happened last
That's
time.
exactly what happened
So
last
that's
time.
an A.
Oh, I know what it is. I had the gloves on. It's loose. Yeah, I'm losing my grip. Yeah. All right, so before you start using it though, strong like blue. Get up. Even if it's brand new full, shake it up, okay? Same thing with the B side. And now I'm gonna pour equal parts of this. You can use 1 quart. You can pour 50%. Say 3 ounces and then 3 ounces, and mix them up with a stir stick. Okay, like that. Can I have the 1 quart? Because I'm going to add some silica to it. Yeah, this is actually a polyurea.
Yeah. Y eso tienes que regresar al día siguiente.
Pues es como espuma de poliuretano, ¿no?
Did not clean the cap.
Uno por uno.
I'm not done with it. I'm going to use it again. Okay, so I've got exactly 4 ounces of each, but I never leave them uncapped because I've had things get knocked over. All right, so now I'm going to take my stir stick. I'm going to show you another method in a second here. I'm going to mix it up. About 30, not even 30 seconds, because it's so low viscosity, so watery that it just blends right away. So now this is actually ready to use. If this is for my crack, I would go through for a very thin, for a thin crack, I would just go through and pour it right in now. I'll talk about how I would prep it in a second. Okay, but now say I had some patching I wanted to do. I'll mix it and immediately start adding my sand to it.
¿Es el mismo que se le echó allá?
No, no.
¿Doctor?
No, este es material.
La sílica es la misma de ahí. Yeah. It's our 480. Now you can see I made it into more of a slurry. Okay.
You want more sand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, pero el pegamento es el mismo, ¿no? Sí, es el mismo.
Okay, and now I'm just going to pour it, so I can go through and pour it heavier.
La arena.
Sí, la arena.
I got it.
¿Cuál?
Este es producto diferente.
Este no es igual como ese, es diferente. Okay, go ahead and throw some more in there. Keep going. A little bit more. Good. All right, so I made it a little thicker. So say I had a hole here, I can go through, put it down on the surface. It's still wet, okay? But you can see it's thick. And I would use a taping knife, and I can go through and fill in a damaged spot, okay? Like that there. And you're gonna notice it's gonna start turning color. Now I slowed it down because I added the sand to it, it made it slower. Now you're gonna start seeing this one going pretty quickly. I'm gonna do another mix here. I just wanna show you guys how fast this is.
Yeah, one thing you don't know about Mario, he's also a amateur magician. You'll see that in a few seconds.
Yeah.
So
Now
another
I'm
tip
finishing.
When you are making this is basically only make enough that you can use within arm's reach.
Yep.
Okay.
So no like full kits, otherwise you're gonna waste it. You're not gonna get it out of the bucket.
Yep.
So again, small kits back and forth, 1-to-1, even just visual, seeing 5 or 6 pours back and forth, so it's a uniform color, and then get it out on the floor. Again, if you have like a long line of crack too, you can use like a V-notch squeegee or something to push it along.
And if you have a lot of pitting on the floor, you can do the same thing with your smooth blade squeegee. Mix in the sand like I did when I poured it with the sand, the slurry. You could dump it on the floor and use your squeegee to squeegee it over the surface, but make smaller batches. Don't try to make too much, because if it starts to thicken, it's not going to stick, okay? It's got to stay very thin. Now you can see here, yeah, it's starting to turn a little bit, but here you can see for sure it's starting to turn gray.
Yeah.
That's how fast it is. Okay, now with this one, If I was mixing in 2 solo cups because I was doing my patching, I would just measure out exactly the same amount. I'm only going to pour it in and mix it 6 times, 5 to 6 times. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just do one more for good measure. Now, I'm going to hold this in mass here for a little bit, and as soon as it starts turning a little warm, which is pretty quick, I'm going to start pouring it again. I'm going to try to show you how it'll set up from liquid to solid midair. Okay, it's for that quick. So now with it, you can see it's already starting to turn. The more sand I add to it in the concrete, if it's colder, it's going to slow it down, but it's still pretty quick. Now this one here, it's starting to get thicker. I can see it from here starting to gel up. It's not going to take that much longer for it to set up. All right, it's already starting to generate some heat. Do you feel that?
Está caliente.
Starting to get warm, right?
It'll smoke too, and
Yeah.
Yeah, starting to warm.
Your cup.
And it's only been a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a little bit longer. Want a shot? Okay, now it's starting to generate. Feel that? Now it's starting to get warmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can see it's actually getting warmer and warmer. And it's only been how many seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's where that Mario magic
Oh,
kicks in.
Let's see if I could. Let's see if I can time it. Oh,
Too late.
too late.
Now that cup's gonna melt.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. You can see it went that when it was ready to go. It went that fast. I was showing everybody. I was like, oh, like okay. It took a little too long. You can see it did that. It snapped. As soon as it snaps, it's done. And that's where we try to time it, where we start pouring it, and as it's falling, it'll just solidify. So I mistimed it.
You still saw it freeze in midair.
Yep, that's true.
Chemical reaction.
Yes. All right.
Over there is the
And in
cement
here,
that is
it's
melting, right?
already gotten hard. Okay. So now, once it reaches this this color, it is completely ready to grind.
Come out.
If I can get it out of the container. Okay. So it sets up really fast. And once it's that color, you can actually hit it with a grinder. Okay. Now this is very rigid. Okay. This always stays semi-flexible. Okay. This here is allowing that joint to move. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about is how did I prep that? The tool I'm going to use is a crack chasing diamond with a shroud, okay, and a vacuum attachment. And you're only going to cut into the concrete the depth of the diamond, so about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch, and you're making a trough, okay? You're making a area where you can pour into, but you're also cleaning up the surface. Hey guys, okay, con eso es muy importante para saber cómo preparar las grietas. Okay, en este caso vas a cortarlas, pero no muy profunda, toma 1/4 de pulgada, okay? 3 activos, algo así. Y vas a cortarlo para abrir la grieta. Okay, y de ahí después vas a usar una vacuum. Okay, after you crack chased it, only 1/4 to 3/8, you're going to use a vacuum to vacuum out the dust. I like to take a wire brush and go back into that crack because as I'm cutting it with a diamond blade, I'm creating so much dust, I could pack that crack.
On the sides.
And from there, when you pour your material, it's not going to go into it. And we're trying to glue it back together. Okay, so I'm going to use this to open that dust-filled crack back open, vacuum it so I could see that line again, okay? Then, once that's done, that's when I'm going to mix my material and start pouring it in. And don't forget, don't make more than what you can use in a small area. Because when it goes, and the material's not cheap. But it's not cheap because it's a special formulation. It's a specialty product to save you time, okay? And time is the most expensive thing on a project, is the labor, the time. Not the material. So if we can go through and shorten that time that it requires, we're saving you money. And that's what that product's for. Okay, so let's see on this one here how it is. All right, it's starting to thicken. I can't broom it yet, but we're going to get back to that. The other product I'm going to show you here is our Fast Patch. So this one here, think of it like Bondo, okay? This is 100% solid epoxy. It's a thick paste. It can be used for if you have a hairline crack that you missed and you just want to make sure your resin's not going to fall into it, you could use this in there. if you have a little dimple, a little chip, okay, and you forgot to fill it and now you're going with the coating, that's what this is for. We call it fast patch, not because it cures fast like this one, but because you mix it, you apply it, and you can put a coat over it before it even dries. And it's made to work with our polyureas, our polyaspartics, our urethanes, and our epoxies. It's very, very versatile. And that's unusual because a lot of companies, you can't use their polyureas with an epoxy. We can use them in any case because our chemistry. Our chemists were able to figure out the formulations for all that. Okay, so if we look at this, it's a part A and a part B. And we're going to mix these up in equal parts. Nomás necesitan hacer igual la cantidad. No necesitas medirlo, pero del ojo. Okay, míralo, si es igual, estás bien. So you don't have to measure it, but just have to eyeball it at, if it's the same, we're good.
Add a color to this.
No, it would be used for repairing when you're going to coat it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
don't leave it exposed because it's going to turn yellow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So we add color.
yes. Yeah, with your,
Granite, yeah.
yep. Yeah, but that will discolor. If it's an epoxy over time, it finally will discolor. It might be more of an acrylic or a polyaspartic or urethane type blend that is. All right, so I'm going to cap this one up. Okay, so that's about the same. Okay,
So use, yeah.
so now I'm just going to take these two. You were going to ask a question?
Y una pregunta, después de que abres
¿Las grietas?
dos pastas, ajá, ¿qué tiempo dura?
Oh, ¿estas aquí?
Ajá. Mientras que no lo revuelvas no pasa nada.
Yeah, año, 2 años.
Oh.
Yeah, todo, I mean, no vas a guardarlo por 2 años, pero sí, se van a quedar ahí.
Mientras que no
Yeah.
lo piste no pasa
Sí, cuando está, no, si no vas a mezclarlos, está bien. Pero ya una vez que lo mezclas, necesitas usarlo porque si no, se van a hacer duro.
Tienes como 10 minutos. Es como el banco.
Okay. Ya, más o menos, si lo vas a tratar igual como el bando, vas a estar bien. Pero este de aquí no se hace duro muy rápido. Te da mucho tiempo. Okay, you just have to make sure it's, yeah, this is, just treat it similar that you would to a Bondo, but it's not going to set up as fast. And it's actually harder than Bondo. Don't be using Bondo on a garage floor. I've actually heard of guys doing that. It's not made to have the same durability. All right, so once it's all one uniform color, like it is here, I can go through and try to, all right, so say here, all this pitting, okay? If you missed that on the floor and you didn't patch it with this and you forgot about it, I can go through, take this material,
Okay.
and now,
Puedes pintar luego casi.
yep, puedes aplicar el epáxico o el poliespártico, lo que vas a aplicar, puedes aplicar. No necesitas esperar para que se seca nada. Y por eso el nombre es Fast Set. Okay. Yeah, porque no vas a esperar que se cura.
Y aquí sí tienes que pasar la granadora arriba, ¿verdad?
Yeah, con eso necesitas usar el diamante para granarlo igual. Okay. Sí, dejarlo parejo con el concreto porque si no vas a mirarlo. All right, but in this case here, the reason why it's called fast patch is I don't have to wait for it to cure and get hard. Will it? Sure, but it's going to take 7, 8 hours before it gets that. But the beauty of this is I don't have to wait. It'll continue to cure under the coating I'm applying. Okay? So you can see I just used to fill in hairline cracks, some imperfections, some damage. Now, the one thing I want to point out about this product, because this cures so quickly, if I ground this and I found an area was still low, I can't just mix more and add it on top. You have to sand it. You have to remove the shine off it para que no está brilloso. Cuando ya está mate, después puedes aplicar más. Pero sin lijarlo, No se va a pegar.
se va a pegar.
Yeah, se sale. Okay. I just said if you apply as far as the coating, you guys all understood me. Yeah. Y si no estoy diciendo algo bien, si me puedes correctar. Gracias. Okay. Porque hay veces que no voy a decir algo bien.
Y esta cuando la scrapeas, puedes ir arriba ya luego con la acabada.
Ya, después que lo lijas o lo cortas con el razor. Can you bring me the razor scraper?
And if I don't,
We will learn.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. I'm going to give it about 20 minutes, half hour in between there. Depends on if it's cold. If the concrete is cold, it's going to slow everything down.
Okay.
If the concrete is warm, okay, it's going to speed things up. So I like to have a thermostat, a thermometer, infrared thermometer, and I like to shoot the temperature of my floor whenever I get there. This way I know where I'm at, because remember that dew point? If this is cooler and the air temperature is warmer, okay, but the temperature gets close to the 5 degrees of that, that's when it condenses. It's not just the air temperature. We're always working with the floor. Okay, so we want to know that floor temperature. But I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go through and I'll start shaving, and then I'll stop. I want to see, am I pulling it out or not? Now these are uneven. Okay, the table is not flat. Okay, so, but I will start shaving the floor. And when you're doing this, you're using the big floor scraper that's made for this. Now I waited a little long, that's why I'm cutting it like this. But if you time it right, all you're doing is pushing it. It's already too hard. And all you do is shave that section off. But even though it's already gotten hard, it's still flexible, okay? And it's load bearing, and it allows the other coatings to stick to it. We have another one called our Polyflex UV, and that one is made so that it doesn't get coated and stays out in the open, and it'll never turn yellow-green. This one, it's not made for that, but I have a section that sticks out my garage. It's been there for 3 years. In the direct sun, south-facing door, it's still this color. It hasn't changed. We don't promote it as being UV stable, but it's doing a pretty darn good job, okay? But if you know it's gonna be out, always exposed to the UV, say you're doing a grind and seal, I would use our UV, okay? Because then from there, you know it's never gonna turn. But even this one does a pretty good, darn good job. But how many plazas of shopping malls, of large corporate buildings, they have a big plaza and they have concrete that's patched, it's falling, stones coming out, broken corners. You know how much money you can make just by going through and fixing all those spots compared to them having to pay to tear all that concrete out? And then when we're done with that, you could seal it, pressure wash, clean it, and seal it. We have all kinds of different sealers. Again, I'll talk about the end, some of the other options. But one of my favorite for sealers that I like to use, I use on my own garage, is our Ocon 40. It's a siloxane type penetrating sealer. It doesn't show any gloss and finish, but it protects the surface and it beads the water off. It keeps the salts and contaminants from filling it in. But that's one of my favorite products. I think it's actually underutilized in the industry. And that's why I like to promote it and show it every single time.
Also you can grind it to put the, what's it called?
Oh, the coatings? Sure.
The coating.
Yeah, but for the coatings, I have to wait for this to dry.
Yeah.
I rather use fortification, which is this, because there's no time. I have to wait. There, I have to wait a long time. Here, I don't have to wait at all. As soon as it turns gray.
You can do the same form and the same.
Oh, for that, if you're going to do that portion, we have another container. Hey, Matt, do we have a turbocrete around here?
yeah, it's on the shelf.
Okay.
Are you going to use it or just show it?
No, I'm just going to show it.
Okay.
Yep, if you're going to be fixing a big area and you're going to coat it, we have another product which I'm going to show you right now in a moment. It's called our TurboCrete. And the TurboCrete is an epoxy mortar. It's also fast, not as fast as this, but faster than that. Yeah.
With this, I have to wait, what, 7 hours?
No, like 3 days,
Oh, 3
because
days.
it's that thick. I would wait a few days. Okay, so this is TurboCrete, all right? The TurboCrete, inside, it has you saw the silica we threw over there?
Right.
Very similar, but a couple different blends. so that it's smaller and larger, so it compacts real tight. Inside here, it's the sand, and then a container of A and a container of B. They're fast epoxies. You take the bag out and the cans out, and you simply shake the cans, dump the cans in there, mix them up, add the sand, and now it makes a mortar, okay, that you're able to go through and pack it in, form it, trowel it, give it a couple hours, take the forms off, grind it, coat it. So this is a really nice, convenient, quick to use product. Yep, it's called TurboCrete. We also have a TurboCrete available in a tube. I'm not sure if they have any here, but the tube is more like a adhesive. It's more like a thick paste. This is a mortar, mixing with sand and epoxy.
And it doesn't stick to the forms if you put a form around.
Still always coat it with some plastic filling.
Okay.
Yeah, because all these coatings are made to stick to the concrete. They're going to stick to your form too.
Yeah.
So I just use packaging tape is what I
Can
like.
you use Vaseline too?
Technically you could. I don't like doing that because if you get it off the side and gets in the product and contaminate it, some guys will use wax. Just
So the
Yeah.
tip is the best, yeah.
for the patches, just use plastic.
this is his
The
or
tape,
ours?
the packaging tape. It's cheap. Put a couple thin coats on it, and you're ready to go.